Hi, welcome to the Federal. I'm Harish Upadhyaya. 4,37,000 people have died in India due to COVID 19 since March 2020. Several experts believe that this figure is nowhere close to the actual reality. Several news reports have showed how various states in the country have underreported COVID deaths. As governments underreport deaths and also try to gaslight people about the magnitude of this pandemic, now there's an effort to record the actual number of deaths to ensure that the scale of this whole tragedy is captured. The Reporters Collective, along with few other organizations, has come together to ensure this happens via the Wall of Grief project. Wall of Grief goes ahead and ensures that it's a place where you can mention about the loved ones that you've lost due to COVID 19. And at the same time, it acts as a resource center to ensure that the data about a number of deaths is captured. Today, we have journalists Nitin Sethi and Tapasya from the Reporters Collective who are joining us. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anish, for having us here.
Nitin, I remember a few months back, there was a lot of discussion in the journalist circles when these reports started emerging from various states about the kind of severe underreporting of death that was happening. And many of us actually felt that there should be some sort of a forum where this is all collected, because people said the government, probably a few months later, should not really whitewash their failure during this pandemic with this kind of a data. So how did this all start? And as I said, how did it become reality then?
So I would say, Harish, there were two or three strands. One, as you say, we were watching really interpret journalists on the front line, collecting in some sense the first layer of his contemporary history data on what's really happening compared to what the governments are saying. We knew that these were disaggregated attempts by either individuals or small organizations, some newspapers at that time. And we knew this won't last long and it'll get thrown into different corners and forgotten. One was the need to pull this together. Two, we knew that because with limited resources, these journalists are producing anecdotal evidences. Over time, we would need to build a more systemic evidence of what has happened to us. And in some sense, this is the largest tragedy that Indian societies face since partition, I would say, if not independence itself. And that we needed to have not just the data on how many of us passed away, but also that we don't turn into data, that our loved ones don't become numbers and just die as a number in a jail or a death cell. And we wanted in some ways that all of us, and particularly those who don't have access to social spaces because of internet or other disabilities and difficulties, that we somehow craft a space where as many of us who can come together should come together. And I think, I'm sure it has happened to you and millions others, that we all lost loved ones. I can't think of one in my network of friends, resources, etc. Some of us have not lost someone or the other or gone through immense pain. I think part of this was personal for all of us at the Reporters Collective, that pain needed to be put together in a place of solace. And we all as a community know that the only way we grieve is grieve as a community. We don't grieve alone. And the pandemic and the misgovernance around pandemic had not even given a chance to grieve about those we've lost. So I think these two, three things, and a lot of people, I think, as you're saying, individually saying, let's do this, let's figure out a way to do it. And I would say it took a lot of good minds and souls to put us in this place and enable us a little to do this. And if that answers your question.
Yeah. Now, Tapasya, how do you plan to take this forward? We've already seen, some of the reports that came in various publications being collated there, data from so many municipalities and other government bodies being put out there. Going forward, what can we see? Is there some sort of tie-up that's already happened, or will there be? I'll come to the story that Reporters Collective has done. I'll come to that in a bit. But how do you plan to take this forward?
So, first of all, what we plan to do is gather data from all across India. So, Gujarat is where we started, but we have data from other states, other districts as well. So, the what we try to do through this data is uh, fill the gaps of misgovernance that have happened around the pandemic in India. This data helps us understand the real toll of the pandemic and also sort of be prepared about future in future if such situations occur. So it is a very valuable set of information for reportage as well as for researchers to sort of have preparedness for pandemic in the future. Our major goal with this data is to somehow bring to light misgovernance and as well as ways in which data can help us be more prepared about these situations in the future. So, with more data gathering and more analysis happening, this is what we hope to achieve. Uh, you know, bring to light the reality of the pandemic, the underreporting around the pandemic, and also sort of bring in collaborations with journalists and researchers so that we understand and comprehend the pandemic in a better way.
I think as Tapasya is saying, what we're trying to do is bring many different kinds of people together. We will make our own efforts to put together data, names. We're asking citizens to put in memorials, not just for their own loved ones, but for others who can't do it, put memorials for them. We're asking researchers, and we're going to put this data out as a Creative Commons license for them to analyze and tell us what happened to us. We want to provide this data to journalists across the country who want to use it to do different things. So we're looking upon this place as, in some sense, maybe a sitting place under a tree where not only do we take information from them, but we bring back that information to citizens again. So in some sense, for us, while we are a bunch of investigative reporters, this for us is more like a citizens project, not just journalism.
Tapasya mentioned about the Gujarat story. In fact, this is a very good example on why a collective like this could really help in showing what really happened at the ground level. The Reporters Collective did a story from Gujarat where they got data from all the death registers in municipalities in Gujarat, collated that data, gave the data to the researchers at the Harvard University for a scientific assessment. And it clearly shows the kind of underreporting that's happened in Gujarat by the government over there. The all-cause mortality spike could be anywhere around 480% as one of the observations in this research, but also talks about the kind of underreporting of death that's happened. Just considering the municipality data that was available there. So Nitin, what does it say? First of all, what does it say about the kind of underreporting that's happened in Gujarat? And if it's the case in just one state, uh, what are we looking at when we talk about the whole of India?
I think Gujarat so far was rather appalling, even by standards of how data is recorded in India or deaths. And we must remember, death records in India generally not great. They've been fair, but they vary across states. Relatively in Gujarat, they've been good. In Gujarat, what we saw was very conscious suppression of information, and if I may say so bluntly, the government lying about what happened to its people, and lying at a scale. I mean, we're used to politicians, exaggerating a lie or a truth 20%, but this is where our data shows that about the real number of people who passed away is about 27 times what the state claims. And we still have not captured representative data for the peak month of May 2021 when more people died relatively. And we haven't captured rural Gujarat where possibly all experts suggest the rate of deaths were much higher because of lack of capacities. This, as other journalists have shown, the underreporting is true for almost all states to different degrees. What worries us really is one, I think people know when their loved one passes away. They don't wait for a government to say whether my loved one has gone or not. is that there is no acknowledgement in some sense in the political class of saying this is the tragedy and therefore the response needs to be of the scale that this doesn't happen again. And I think that is our greatest fear, that if a government says only 10,000 passed away and we are looking at a minimum number of 2.8 lakhs gone, then I would presume that's the proportion of response the government wants to do to the third wave or the fourth wave of a next pandemic or a next crisis. And that really scares us as citizens, I think, as journalists for sure. We're used to, in some sense, as journalists, seeing governments pretending and looking the other way in crisis. But just as people who lost us, we ourselves lost family members, etc. To think that not just the person got removed, but his memory or her memory got removed from our lives. I think that's really appalling. I mean, morally for me, that's a crime. And I think what we're documenting in some sense is a moral crime of the state as well as the collective grief of the people.
Tapasya, I was looking at some of that data, and as Nitin rightly mentioned, a lot of it is coming from municipalities. We still don't know what's happened in the villages. What were some of the challenges? Accessing data itself is so difficult. Second, the data that's actually put out is also questionable in so many ways. What were the challenges, especially with Gujarat?
So the data we got was from municipality death registers. It is the first place where deaths are registered.
Yeah.
There was a lot that had to be done after accessing that data. So for example, the registers are in Gujarati. So first they have to be translated into English, and then they have to be sort of, to analyze the data, you have to first feed them into spreadsheets. So you have to make manual entries for the data, and then you have to clean all the data and format them in a way that they can be analyzed. And because it is being translated from Gujarati, there are a lot of challenges that somebody who does not know Gujarati or is not aware of the regional scenario in that place would find difficult. So yeah, there we looked at more than 1 lakh entries from these municipalities, and it was a lot of data. So it uh, took a lot of time. But yeah, I think what we found after analyzing all the data was worth all the effort that was.
So I think we were aided a lot by scientists and researchers who were collaborating with us from day one when we handed over the data to them, and they explained a lot of background on how deaths are registered, how to understand what is a pandemic death. I think that definition was important for us to understand, not narrowly presented like the government tries to. Two, we were aided immensely by friends, even strangers on ground and whistleblowers in Gujarat who explained to us how records are maintained, how records were not maintained, and how deaths were not recorded properly, and also generally how numbers are maintained or not maintained. That's what led us to these death registers, as Tapasya was saying, along with her colleague Sri Girish. They too looked at, I mean, she was, I think, being polite on herself or modest. They must have seen records of up to 50, 60,000 physical pages, and with help of others, got them translated, put them in Excel and worked on them. And that's still, I think that was heavy lifting, but it was still a lot of context provided by experts on ground and scientists that helped us process and analyze it in a fashion that's robust, that stands any argument by the state. So if you look at the numbers, we're looking at about, Tapasya would correct me if I'm wrong, 68 municipalities at the moment.
Yeah.
And that comprises accounts for around 6% or 7% of Gujarat's population. And we extrapolate from that to look at the whole state. Again, the comfort that scientists gave, saying, what you guys are doing is better than what the state itself does in extrapolations on these kind of studies. So your numbers are robust. And they also look through the logic to say your numbers are relatively very conservative for, again, the two factors we were talking, that don't have data for May and we don't have data for rural Gujarat.
Nitin, I want to ask you, do you believe at some point in time in this journey, probably 6 months, 1 year later, we will reach a point where we can confidently say that we have a very rough estimate of what could actually be the numbers across India? Because so far, what we've seen is models predicting based on the numbers put out by the government and then extrapolating it to the larger population. But perhaps there's one effort where you're actually getting data from a very decentralized way from, as she said, several municipalities. Do you think at some point in time we'll reach a stage where we'll say, okay, this could be the figure, this could be the overall casualty in India because of COVID? We've seen such efforts for Spanish flu much decades later. But do you think we'll reach that stage perhaps in the next year or so?
To be honest, Harish, I don't think that we'll be able to reach that far. To consider that the death registers we're now looking at, each gram panchayat in India keeps one. So you're looking at somewhere around 5.5 lakh, 6.5 lakh death registers. We are a bunch of really motley crew of 6 or 7 people with great help from many colleagues and citizens hopefully doing it. But what I'm very sure with concerted efforts and resources is possible to have such a robust base data available that it's not about just projecting out a base of 1% population with the rest of country, because then the governments and states and experts come out with arguments saying there's so much variance, how can you extrapolate, etc. So what we're trying to really build is robust enough information and data for researchers, scientists, and journalists to be able to make substantive assessments of what's happened not only countrywide but in particular pockets. Like I know we've been talking to researchers and they say, look, perhaps what's happened in tribal societies in central India or northeast is very different than what's happening here for various reasons. We hope that this data provides us understanding at that level perhaps as well. While the overall number is important, I am much as concerned, if not, I would say more, that a representative faces and names of people who went away from all parts. I'm partly from Arunachal, partly from Manipur. I would want that my people who have gone away there also find their names reflected here. We get ignored very often. I think these are chances for us to all come together in one place.
Finally, as you mentioned, you would want people to file RTIs, come out and, ensure the government puts out that data and you also get access to that data. Everyone gets access to that data. How do you want others to pitch in, whether it's journalists, activists, publications? What would your appeal?
So, a simple request, if I can use your forum, and Tapasya, I can use your forum to make, is if anyone goes on the website wallofgrief.org, it provides 2 ways for anyone to reach out to us. One, by just publishing a memorial of somebody they've lost, and it asks for very basic information. We don't ask for anything that breaches privacy. 2, they can use the email there to write to us and saying, we want to contribute resources, time, volunteer to do this. And one of our members, I think normally it will be Tapasya, but several others, Mayank, who's leading the project, is also there. And they'll reach back and say, these are the 3 ways you can help. We have standardized methods of accessing data from government sources. We want to also start mass scale collection of memorials, video evidences, reportage from different languages. We need to show that it wasn't when things were bad that the society did not respond. I think if you look across languages, fantastic work done by journalists in small towns, villages, often in, over time, their contribution to, in some sense, creating the first draft of history gets undone. We would like this place to be where they are seen as the leaders of collecting this evidence, becoming, in some sense, the first drafters of history of a tragedy, and that we are only anchors because of a little more privilege who are bringing it together. So I would request everyone to just go to this website, wallofgrief.org, and there are only 2 options. One is either putting in a memorial yourself. 2 is reaching out to us on an email and saying how you would like to contribute, and we will respond very quickly to all those emails.
Well, Nitin and Tapasya, thanks a lot for joining us today. Hopefully, in the coming months, we'll kind of get closer to a place where we'll get the actual scale of this tragedy.
Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us. Do tune in to thefederal.com for more stories, analysis, and in-depth story. Thank you.